Hi class, welcome back. We're gonna go real quick over part B and part C of number 4 from this section. And so we in the previous video we found the unit the unit the units sold per item, the amount of money that needed to be that was gonna cost per item to sell a certain number of items. And we use the Excel sheet to do that. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna use the what we call this the demand equation in part A to estimate the price. Right, we're estimating the price at which you can expect to sell expect to sell 3,270 units of this product. And don't forget to round this to the nearest penny. So what we're gonna do, you can probably see a little bit in the answer there, but we're gonna work it out here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this equation, this demand equation, which this tells you what's gonna be the amount of money sold per item. So what this is saying, why it makes sense, is that it depends on the number of items that you are producing and selling will determine the price. It kind of, if you think about it, if you sell what's known as the max when you are making more items, then because you're making more items and using some of the same resources, then those resources are not gonna matter if you make 100 versus if you make 1,000. So by the fact that you are making more, you're sort of minimizing that cost, right? Of course, there's other costs that depends on the material. So think about it like if you're producing 100 items in a factory, and it costs you $1,000 to rent the factory, right? Of course, you still gotta make add the material that you need to use to produce this item. But if you think about it, if you make 100 items and versus you make 1,000 items in that one day, then the fact that you only had to pay $1,000 to rent that place, it really kind of if you divide that into 100 versus 1,000, it really that price, that cost is really minimized, right? So anyways, so that's kind of like the background why this affects this if equation is affected by the number of units that you're producing. So anyway, so what we're asked to do is how much is gonna cost to produce 3,270. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the equation, and we're gonna go ahead and direct substitution of 3,270, and we're gonna do that by replacing and the Q with 3,270, and then add 145.87781. So at this point, I think the best way is to do this by using a calculator. So let me open this real quick, and so what we're gonna do, I'm gonna show you how to do this. So we're gonna say equal. So we don't have to put the equal sign, but we're gonna put negative, and negatives down here. And be careful, this is not a minus. This right here is a minus. This right here is a negative. So we gotta be careful, make sure we put the right one. So this is a negative 0.0359 parentheses. That's the same thing as multiplication. 3270, and then close parentheses, plus 145.87781, and enter, and there you go. We end up getting 28.48481.
Video, we're gonna be
But
going over
remember
the
that they
best
ask us to
neighborhoods to
run this to
live
the
in.
nearest.
We're gonna be going over the best neighborhoods to live in.
They asked us, sorry about that. It was just commercial for this calculator. So they asked us to round it out to the nearest penny. So we're gonna do, then this is going to be 28 point, and then I have to unfortunately go back to that video,
If you're a young
to
professional.
that calculator.
If you're a young professional.
Let's see if we can skip this. And so we're gonna wait for this to, there you go. So it's 2848. So that number is 2848.4. Oh, sorry, not 4, not point 4. 4. So when you round to the nearest penny, the penny is the second decimal. So you're rounding this number, so you have to test the previous one. Because this number is less than 5, right? Then that means this number stays the same, right? Because the testing number is less than 5, then there's no change in your rounding. Your rounding stays the same. So there you go. This should be 2848. And if you happen to be 49, it's still gonna give us the right answer, but the right answer is 2848. All right, so that's the first part, and we want to make sure that this, for context, it is that is the unit's price that was sold per items, right? All right, so now they're asking us, well, if you would like for these units to be sold at a price of 26.5, which is a smaller price, how many units you need to sell and produce. And so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna say, well, if we want this price, right, this is our price, we need this to be at 26.5, right? And our question is, what is the number of units that we need to produce or sell to be able to sell our items at this price, right? Remember what we said is that you can probably bring the price down if you're making more production. So we should probably expect this number to be bigger, right? That's sort of like maybe the assumption is that you're making more, you should be able to sell this at a lower price, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna solve this equation. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna solve for Q, and we want to follow the rules of solving a linear equation. And what we're going to do first is we're going to leave this term by itself. This is called the variable term. We're going to leave it by itself by undoing what's being done, right? What's happening is being added by 145. We're going to subtract, right? We're going to undo the addition by subtracting on both sides of the equation by this number, 145.87781. If you put this in the calculator, you're gonna get something about these are cancel each other, but this will be 119.37781 equals to, and maybe I'll put this in black, that way we can kind of distinguish what is the new result of this. And then so now we have this is equal to negative 0.0359 Q. Alright, so we are almost done here. All we gotta do is isolate this Q, right, by removing the factor that we have in front of it. If you notice this factor, right, it's being multiplied to the Q. So to solve for Q, we would need to undo the multiplication, which is done by dividing, right? The opposite of multiplication is division, so you're going to do on both sides of the equation to maintain the same value, right? Whatever you do on one side, do it to the other side. And so this gives us that Q is equal to, and if you put this in your calculator, it should be roughly 3,325.28. But they ask us to round this to the whole unit, right? And it kind of makes sense if you think about it. When if you're trying to, show someone that you're gonna produce an item, you're gonna say that you're not gonna give them, oh, you're gonna produce 3,225 and the 28th of an item, right? That's not how it works. We need to give them a whole unit. So we're gonna say it's roughly gonna be 3,320.25, right? In this case, because this number is the one we're rounding, so we're gonna test the previous one. It is 2, which is less than 5, right? So the 5 is gonna stay the same. So units, and there you go. And that should be it. That will give us that if you want to sell your items at $25.5 per item, then you have to produce 3,325 units, or you need to sell them. You need to sell 3,325. I hope